Well, I'm continuing here. I apologize, but I just can't seem to shut the hell up this morning, and I don't know what's gotten into me, but I care about people, and I want you to care about people, and not some people, but everyone. This goes again, rote memory. I mean, it's just what's written in Scripture: love your enemy, and see that to even church going, Bible reading, praying people. That sounds like a typo. It's got to be a typo. He couldn't have meant that. I mean, somehow, you see, it's easy for anybody to say, well, wait a minute, that's nice in theory. Kind of like the idea of getting off money. Yeah, it's nice in theory, buddy, but, you know, fat chance. That's not pragmatic. That's not practical. It shows you lack common sense. You're a dreamer. You're an idealist. You're out there. You're a little crazy. You're a little off to think of a world without money. But it's not true. We can imagine it. And imagine this. Anybody that gets what I'm saying, you want to go to that world that's ideal, perfect. You don't want any problems, not organic or inorganic. You want everything just the way you want it, no annoyances whatsoever, right? If you can imagine it, you can get it. But right now, we're dealing with a lot of crap. Okay, that is our lot as human beings. The history of human beings on this planet has not been a pretty one. We've made God witness a lot of horrendous things, killing each other in these wars and all this. Okay, I mean, God, you see what trouble we're in? And we got the mainstream media out there, the feckless pustules of the media. I mean, what are they doing? What are they doing? They steer. Look at this, look at that. And who's pulling the strings at the top? Those that own it with all the money. Those are grand controllers, the grand puppeteers, the masterminds, the conscienceless ones. Some of them open Satanists. You understand that run the money supply. That have gotten all the Congress and Senate, a critical mass of those within the Congress and Senate, and the executive branches far too often, not every time, complicit in this thing. Okay, because it's either, it's either my way, which is everything. You get riches, and we know about all these lobbying groups, this money being traded under the table with these politicians. And people are too big to jail, right? That's a thing. Oh well, it'd be too much of a scandal. We can't do that, right? That's what's going on here. So we're talking about sometimes you got corruption in the highest ranks of the law enforcement, right? So we're talking about what? Sometimes it even happens in the FBI. I mean, when this starts happening, you've got problems. I mean, this has been happening since JFK was assassinated. The American people don't believe that. This just goes to show. I'm just pointing out what we're being controlled by, who these monsters are, and how different our reality can be once they're gone. So we should all be just joyfully, anxiously waiting the return of Christ when God metes out justice upon the earth and we get rid of it. Money, you've got to start really hating money. Okay, we can't go it alone. We all know that as long as everybody takes money and makes us give money for stuff, goods and services, then we know it's still in effect and we need God's help. We're money lovers for that reason. It pays our bills. What fool, what idiot doesn't love money? God gets it. I get it. We can't do it alone, but we got to do it. We've got to work toward it. We got to preach it and teach it and help people to understand basic economic principles like supply and demand and capitalism, and how we could have this gradual change where our money just steadily went up in worth, just a little bit of progress at a time. But as we find easier and easier methods to produce all the things we want and need as a purportedly civilized society, trying to live together as one big, fat, happy family, okay, and make it just an iota, scintilla of progress regularly, year after year after year, chipping away at it, prosperity happens naturally, organically, automatically under true capitalism, which has everything to do with supply and demand. Why? Because we find easier and easier methods of supplying all the things we want. So your demand diminishes to zero practically. I mean, if you could move anywhere in the world right now and have a nice pad to live in, no matter where it was, in the approximate same geographic location. Remember, wherever it is, we can build places that we like, ocean views, because those are very popular, expensive places to live right now. We can all live wherever we want on the face of the earth at any time for as long as we want. Have it your way, 100%. Okay? That's what your parents want to give you. And that's what we could have in very short order if we just listen to our parents, just share our owner telling us, listen, I want you to live together as my children. Share the planet, share the wealth. Okay, so from birth, our paradigm would be entirely different. You understand? It'd be understood that, well, it's a given that a percentage of this planet based on dividing it up by the population of the earth belongs to you. In which case, if you had to put that in dollars and cents, you'd have been born a multi-billionaire. So in other words, it becomes stupid. The whole argument becomes stupid if we're all multi-billionaires. Stalemate, right? But that is the reality, but it has nothing to do with money. Prosperity is our lot. That's our inheritance. That's what we get, okay? Because that's evolution according to God. That is what he wants for his children. He wants us to become more and more free, not less and less. Okay, he wants us to become less and less burdened, not more and more. But that's exactly what's going on with money and the theft of that wealth that belongs to the productive class, the working class. And that includes minimum wage workers and all those close thereof. Okay, thereabouts. So you understand the implication of what I'm saying. These people are doing this on purpose, and it's theft. They want us divided. We're divided by design. They want you to believe it's a Republican-Democrat thing. And if your guy or gal can get into office just long enough, then they're going to fix things. But they won't talk about, well, what's going to happen in the future if your guy doesn't do a good job that you put faith in, and then everybody, they'd rather vote in Mickey Mouse than any of the contenders, okay? But that's what happens. I mean, after George Bush, you remember what an idiot he was, a village idiot. I mean, everybody said, look in the dictionary and you'll see George Bush's caption in there for village idiot. Look that up. The joke that was going around. But I mean, hey, he was a pustule. And I voted for the man the first time around because my one big issue at that time was the abortion issue. And not that I'm even against choice. It's just that I think we need to have more conversation about this. Because if men don't have any choice about whether the woman keeps the baby or not, then things got to kind of change a little. They're putting guys in jail. They're garnishing their wages. They're taking their driver's licenses. And if they didn't even get a choice to say, here, I'll pay the money to abort the thing, but why should I have to pay for a baby? She gets her choice to abort it. I don't. You see, so there's an argument to say it's imbalanced. And it is. And guys accept it because we're guys and we're trying to be more gallant and all that. But, it's an argument to be had. I mean, you want equality, gender equality, we need to have that discussion. Why doesn't a guy get the right to say that? No, I want you to abort it. So anyhow, George Bush was an idiot, so there was no wonder why we ended up with Obama. And Obama was a total sellout to the New World Order cabal. Look up that group, that Bilderberger group. They're all in cahoots. There's a money printing class, this perpetual class of aristocrats. And then what's worse is when the government gets involved, it becomes very fascist. But it's in a very surreptitious, underhanded way, in a very stealth manner. They're doing this. See, you don't want you to see. They want you to keep. No, it's Democrat, Republic. If you could just get your guy, your team in, they're going to fix everything. But they're not. They're colluding. Silent collusion. Okay, they act like they're not, but these are actors on a stage, and they have a common interest, and that is to keep stealing from the people, making them think they're working for you. Okay, but you're just there to steal their wealth, and this is how you're doing it. You keep watering down the money through cost of living inflation on stuff people can't get away from. Nobody cares about the price of tea in China, right, to use an analogy for what I'm trying to convey here. But they do care about what they got to pay in order to survive, their food, their shelter, their energy needs, drinkable water. Those things they care a lot about. And those are the things that these top politicians are allowing to be manipulated and profiting from it themselves. You see, this is that's a conflict of interest. That's exactly, this is not capitalism at all. It's fascism. Now we got people working in the government. Everybody figures out, well, hey, you know what? We convince the people that raising their taxes is the answer. That's good for us. We can give ourselves raises. And that's what they do in the Congress and the Senate. They vote themselves raises for doing an abysmal job. I mean, if this isn't outrageous to everybody, I don't know what is. These are supposed to be our servants, public servants. We're in so much trouble. The way that God would have it, the way that these people have it, is so entirely different. You've got to admit that. And God's way is the right way, man. So I just need to clear that nebulous blob of madness. Okay, and you do too. We all do. And that's that evil. We got to be with God. Say, God, please help us. This is our prayer. Help us. Be gentle as you can, but firm. Be pushy, because these people are bad and they're horrible. They're hurting us. They're killing us. They're destroying us. They hate us, and they're irrational, and they don't care about their conscience. They don't have right values. They're defiant to you. Okay, they're a murderous gaggle of thugs. God, I mean, this is what we're up against. This is a conversation with God we have to have. And say, help us. How are we going to turn this around? I mean, do you know how powerful the forces are to keep it from turning around? You know, immediately they're going to say, oh my God, housing prices going down. Oh my God, depression. Oh my, don't even, we got to keep pumping money into this. No, just keep pumping money into it. That's the answer. Just keep diluting it. You understand? So there's more to go around. So the national debt, 25 trillion, but even with the buying power of that 25 trillion, 20 years ago it was 5 trillion. You get what I'm saying? So it's like they just keep watering it down. The numbers don't mean anything anymore. It's a Zimbabwe in slow motion, Weimar Germany in slow motion. I mean, this. So you got to see what they've done and where they're headed with this. They want to turn America into just another third world Latin American nation. To convincing people that you've got to be totally divided. You're either a hardcore socialist, commie type, and that includes all those egalitarian types, right? They'll lump me in with that crowd, the bleeding heart liberal crowd, right? Even though I'm a fiscal conservative, because I say something like, "Hey, take that 50 billion a year that we spend on Section 8 housing to rent people houses. You're just exacerbating the problem." Landlords are taking advantage of that, and it's just enriching the fat cats at the end of the day and making the problem worse. So if you took away that 50 billion, homelessness would dry up because and landlords would have to compete like crazy without that enormous subsidy you're pouring in every year to rent people places. When I'm saying as a fiscal conservative, it's just infinitely cheaper, and a child can understand, to buy a house because there's a payoff date than to rent a house, which there is no payoff date, and the price can keep going up and up and up. So yes, it's infinitely cheaper to buy something. So I'm a bleeding heart liberal, but really I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm just trying to fix the problem permanently. Okay, wash your hands and go on to another problem. You understand? But no, I'm some kind of radical, wild-eyed nut. Man, I don't fit into this scene, and God knows I don't want to, man. It's insanity up one side, down the other, writ large, to the nth degree, man. We're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. But our cost of living must go down. People should boycott a high cost of living. Your ability to pay a high cost of living doesn't help anybody. Okay, you say, well, it helps me. Well, you know what? I mean, if you don't care about other people's problems, guess what? what if it turns out on Judgment Day you stand before your owner, who you might have, for the most part, neglected your whole life, even though, yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, it makes sense. You're somebody else I know or love does, and so I say I do. Whatever your reason is, you better be all in, man, because how are you going to stand? How's it going to hold water? If God says, "Hey, I'm just like you. Why should I care about you? You didn't care about others. I'm just, what goes around comes around, karmic laws and all that. As you sow, so you reap." Why shouldn't God say that to you? You get it? That's why. That's why you care about